Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mangs, and today I'm presenting you with a different kind of video to what you're used to on this channel. Although, seeing as I do play Advanced Wars on here, I guess you can consider this Advanced Wars in real life? Yeah, that's a good video title, we'll go with that one. Today, me and my good friend Panzergraf, who you should recognize from my cooking videos, are traveling to the woods to go airsofting. In which case you don't know, it's sort of like grown-ups going out into the forest pretending to be soldiers. It's a ton of fun actually. If you ever get the chance to attend something like this, do it. It's actually going to be a lot of fun, and you'll remember it for quite some time. This particular airsoft gathering attracted a lot more people than the arrangers predicted. We thought we were going to be around 30 to 40 people, but we ended up getting closer to 60, so this field is going to be quite cluttered. In case you're a complete airsoft noob, I'm gonna go over the basics for you. These guns fire small plastic bullets. You'll certainly feel it if you get hit, it stings a little bit, but nothing too terrible. We are required to wear eye-protecting gear in order to participate, and many of us also wear thick military jackets and pants, and even helmets, so it's not like it's going to hurt you badly, but you do need to be comfortable with taking a couple of hits. Up until around 20 years ago, airsofting was actually illegal in Norway, but thanks to the Norwegian airsoft community, that rule has been revoked, although you're not allowed to carry these weapons out in public, as they can be mistaken for the real deal and cause quite a fright. There have actually been some cases of people using airsoft guns to rob stores, so you need to be careful when you transport these weapons around, always making sure you leave them in your bag until you reach the destination of your game. You also have to be 18 years old in order to participate on your own. Before we start, we have to do a security briefing. This is mandatory and everyone has to listen, regardless of how many times they participated. As I said, there are very strict rules when it comes to airsofting, such as always leaving your eye protective gear on even during the breaks, not shooting your gun in the restricted safe zones where people chill out, and of course, you have to be mindful of your surroundings and not litter the area with trash. Even if we are out in the woods, we are still on someone's property, so we need to show the proper level of respect to the landlord ruling over this area, or else we might be banned from playing here in the future. We also need to be careful in case we encounter people out walking in the woods or wild animals. Shooting on anything or anyone not part of the airsoft game itself is strictly prohibited. Once everything has been done, it's time to travel to the destination of our game. It's not a long walk, but when you're decked out in full airsoft gear, it can certainly feel a lot longer than it actually is. When we finally get to our desired location, we notice that something very unexpected has happened. Someone has cut down all the trees in the area that we're supposed to be playing in. This of course is a problem, since without trees, there's no cover, which makes playing a game of airsoft literally impossible. We therefore have to relocate our game up to the hills in the wests. So here is a map of the area we'll be playing at. We were supposed to be playing down here, but since the trees are all cut down, we have to move our game up here instead. This area has less trees, but a lot more hills and rocks. The scenario we'll be playing works like this. There are two sides, one defending and one attacking. The defending side makes up 1/3 of everyone present, so that's roughly 20 people, whereas the attacking side makes up 2/3, effectively around 40 people, meaning that they have a 2-to-1 numbers advantage. This is because they have to constantly move forward, while the defenders can just entrench themselves in the terrain and pick them off as they advance. The attacking side's objective is to reach a bomb that has a timer counting down from 30 minutes. This bomb cannot be moved by either side and is usually located in the rear guard of the defending team. If the attacking side can reach the bomb without getting shot and press the stop button on the timer, they will defuse it and win the match. However, if the defending side manages to hold them up for 30 minutes, they will win the match instead. The attacking side will come from these 2 points, whereas the defending side will be entrenched in the hills. If you get shot, you have to yell out that you're hit, and then lie down for 60 seconds before you have to walk back to your spawning points, where you need to wait an additional 60 seconds before you can re-enter the match, effectively meaning you'll be out around 2 to 3 minutes. During this time, we pull an orange flag from out of our pockets and throw it over our shoulders or helmets to signal to the other players that we are out of the match. This way, they won't continue to shoot at us. Also, dead people are not allowed to talk, so you can't go around people telling who shot you. You have to wait until you're alive before you're allowed to do that. However, once you get shot, there is a way for you to get back into the match, and that is to get healed by another player. If another person manages to reach you before 3 minutes have passed after you get shot, they can put both hands on your chest for 30 seconds and revive you, though they can't do anything else during this period of time, and might get shot in the process. Each player can only be revived once before they have to walk back to their respective spawn points, but technically, a single person can revive as many other people as they are able to during a single match. Alright, so with the rules explained, it's time to prepare for the first match. Team Flektarn, which is our side, will be defending the bomb, while the opposing forces will attempt to reach it. In the preparation phase, the defending team spreads out and attempts to cover the best defensive areas. We will be outnumbered 2-1, so it's essential that we find good locations with ample cover that covers the parts of the forest where the enemy will attempt to breach through. Me, Panzergraf, and 2 other members of Team Flektarn travels all the way to the front, where we are tasked with defending the west flank. We find ourselves a nice little hill that provides ample cover, but we are informed by a scout that a group of hostiles are coming our way, and that some of them may attempt to flank us from the side. We hide ourselves behind the hill and lie in wait for an ambush. And so, match 1 officially begins. We come into contact with an enemy squad almost immediately, and 2 unsuspecting soldiers travel right into our line of fire, allowing us to get the jump on them and quickly take them out. But they are not alone, and we quickly find ourselves taking massive retaliation fire. Behind me, Panzergraf is entrenched with his MG3, which he uses to deliver covering fire straight over my head, and he earns a kill as well. While you can't see it directly, you can hear the person yelling hits. It's a lot harder to hit our enemies now that they've taken cover. At this point, it becomes mostly a stall game. We just want to delay them as much as possible, since we win when the timer runs out. Sadly, I get hit as I come out of my cover, taking me out of the fights. Panzergraf is behind me, but he is busy shooting, so he can't go over and revive me. He takes out another enemy, but they are now flanking us, and he eventually takes a hit and goes down. Hit. The rest of the team is defeated shortly after, and we have no choice but to walk back to our spawn point, where we have to wait 60 seconds before we can re-enter the battle. But this gives us some nice time to restock and reload. The first line of defense has fallen, so right after we respawn, we have to go join the rear guard, where the objective is located. I scout the perimeter to see if anyone is attacking from the front, while Panzergraf entrenches himself with his MG3 right next to the objective we are defending. If they manage to reach the timer and press stop, they win, so we have to protect it at all costs. At this point, we have roughly 10 minutes left to defend. Right as I come to Panzergraf's aid, I immediately get picked off by a sniper from the left-hand flank. The enemy is wisely moving around the side instead of attacking headlong into Panzergraf's line of fire. If they can maneuver around him, they can easily take him out, and the objective will be completely unguarded, so we have to protect him at all costs. Back at the spawn location, I group up with another squad of soldiers as we attempt to get to the objective, but the enemy has entrenched themselves behind the trees and are shooting us almost all the way back to our spawn, so we have to advance slowly, or we'll just get picked off. Meanwhile, Panzergraf continues to pin down the enemy by spraying bullets in their general direction. He'll not be able to kill anyone this way, but he's preventing them from advancing further, which buys us valuable time. As we near the objective, 3 of my allies suddenly get picked off at once, and I just narrowly dodged a bullet flying straight over my head by throwing myself down at the ground. Since I'm still alive, I decide to take this opportunity to revive one of my allies. It works, and I get him up, and he in turn goes to revive another fallen ally next to him while I slide back down into cover. Panzergraf is still holding the objective, but he's now taking fire from 2 directions at once. Sadly, with the rest of the team being pinned down near their spawn points and the revivals costing too much time, he is eventually outflanked and taken down, leaving the objective completely exposed. It is now only a matter of time before it falls, so we need to get there fast. Back at the spawn location, we are completely being locked down, and even attempting to get out of cover means we'll just get shot. We can only return fire ourselves, but with the objective being completely unguarded, it's not going to be long until one of their soldiers manage to reach it. After a little while, we can hear the enemy shouting victory. Team Flektarn loses the first match, and the attacking side wins. Match 2. This time, Team Flektarn is on the offensive. We're still on the same side of the map, but we have to attack the enemy objective located here this time around. Me and Panzergraf is part of the Western Strike Force. Sadly, my GoPro camera ran out of disk space at the beginning of this match, so we'll only see Panzergraf's point of view from now on. The terrain on the west-hand side is not doing us any favors. Almost immediately into the match we get pinned down in a bunch of shrubbery that provides very little concealments. There's little solid cover here aside from some very thin trees, which results in us having to crawl forward at a snail's pace while the enemy rains bullets over our heads. Panzergraf gets taken out almost immediately, but luckily I am right there to revive him, and I get him back into the action. However, we're still in an awful spot, and can only really lie still in the shrubbery. Sadly, Panzergraf gets picked off again by an enemy sniper and has to walk back to the spawn point. I tried to advance a little bit, but I too get picked off shortly after. After we are done spawning, we attempt to head towards the eastern flank instead, as the western one proved to be downright impossible to advance through due to the terrain, but when we get near the enemy's base, we notice that a bunch of them are just sort of standing casually around. We can shoot them from where we are, but it seems as if the game was called off for some reason, so we send one of our guys in to check, and it turns out that the match got called off halfway in because two guys from the opposing teams started fighting mid-match. We don't really know the reason as to why the fight broke out, but apparently had something to do with a guy not admitting he had taken a hit when he clearly had. Yeah, this shit will happen from time to time when you got too much testosterone in one place. Sadly, this means the match is called off, and thus it is a draw. Match 3. Team Flektarn is once again on the offensive. This time we're fighting in the lower part of the valley. There's an open road in the center with hills on both sides, with the attackers splitting into two, attempting to reach the objective that's located down here. The beginning of this battle is very tough on the attackers. Since the defenders have entrenched themselves in the hills, we have to slowly advance forward, using the trees for cover, which is not ideal. A lot of us get picked off as we attempt to rush to the center line. However, our numbers advantage eventually gain the upper hand, and more of us are able to sprint past the open terrain to reach the cover of the hills. The battle for the first hill is short, but very brutal. There are only a few defenders here, but they are fighting very valiantly. But we are encircling them on all fronts, picking them off one by one. Panzergraf stops to chat with the remaining 3 dead people, complimenting them on their good defenses as they held the line against overwhelming numbers. Remember guys, even in Airsoft, it's important to show good manners towards your opponent. As we enter the hills, it becomes a lot easier for us to gain ground, as we have many tall rocks that provide ample cover, and we also have a height advantage as the hills themselves start to slope downwards, making it easier for us to advance. It's still not a walk in the park, however, as a bunch of us, myself included, get shot as we try to advance towards their rear line. Panzergraf moves in to revive me, but another soldier gets to me first. These hills makes it very easy for us to revive one another, since the reviving soldier can simply take cover behind the wounded soldier, making it impossible for the enemy to interrupt it due to our height advantage. Sadly, we must interrupt the game when a vehicle comes driving down the center road. This happens from time to time when you're out airsofting. There's nothing to do about it other than pause the game and wait for the civilian to leave the zone. Shortly after the match starts up again, we are informed that we have 10 minutes to take the objective, but we take it in around 2 to 3 minutes. Turns out that some of our soldiers on the front line were almost all the way there when we had to pause the game, and immediately upon starting it again, they reached a bomb, winning the match. Team Flektarn wins, leaving us at 1 win, 1 loss, and 1 draw. So that's it! We did a total of 3 matches, and although one of them got cancelled early, we had a ton of fun. Sure, airsofting involves a lot of sitting around, waiting for people to get ready, and it's also a lot of camping, not to mention walking back to the spawn point constantly when you get shot and having to wait some more over there. But man, when you are in the middle of the heat of battle, when you got allied soldiers covering you, or when you're all charging up a hill together, your adrenaline really starts to flow, and you can feel your heart pounding in your chests. It really feels as if you're in a war, and it's extremely fun. You also meet a lot of cool people and forge new friendships. Turns out that guys bond a lot over shooting and fighting together. Funny how that works. I know this video will be watched by a lot of people present, so if you guys don't mind, I'm going to address them in Norwegian very briefly.
Jeg vil bare si tusen takk så mye for at jeg fikk lov å være med på kampen. Det var kjempegøy, det var koselig å møte så mange av dere, og jeg håper at vi ser hverandre igjen snart. Takk for kampen, og på gjensyn. Og takk for at dere så på videoen.
If you enjoyed this video, consider leaving a like and a comment, it really helps out the channel a lot. You can also subscribe to Panzergraf, who posts a lot more Airsoft content than I do. Though I hope this won't be the last Airsoft video I make on the channel, you never know guys. Thanks for watching, my name has been Mangs, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye!